Most riders waste money on basic mods, while the real speed freaks are out here using forbidden upgrades that dealers pray you never find out about. Today, we're exposing 10 illegal motorcycle mods that'll make your bike faster, wilder, and way more dangerous in all the right ways. Miss this list, and you'll be riding at the back forever. Let's start with the suspension secret that changes everything. At number 10, suspension revalving and custom shim stacks. Let's be honest, your suspension sucks. And no, it's not because your bike is cheap. It's because factory suspension is built for one thing: keeping lawyers happy, not riders. Your forks are tuned for a mythical average rider who apparently weighs 170 pounds, rides only on sunny Sundays, and has the reflexes of a garden snail. The solution? Suspension revalving and custom shim stacks. A fancy way of saying, fix the stuff the factory cheaped out on. Here's what most riders never realize. Those little knobs on your forks? They're mostly just for show. Real performance lies deep inside, where tiny shim stacks control how your suspension flows oil through its valves. Revalving lets you tailor this precisely for your weight, riding style, and terrain. Done right, this gives soft, buttery smoothness on small bumps, but stays firm when you hit big impacts. Riders have reported lap time gains of up to 3 seconds, or finally conquering off-road trails they used to avoid like their in-laws. The downside? It costs $400 to $800 per component and requires full disassembly, aka wrench wizards only. Still think suspension upgrades are expensive? Wait till you hear about this engine mod that bends physics itself. At number 9, dynamic compression ratio optimization through cam timing. Most riders think compression ratio is locked in at the factory, like it's carved in stone next to the 10 Commandments. Spoiler alert, it's not. While your static compression ratio stays the same, your dynamic compression ratio is a completely different beast, one you can actually control through cam timing. Basically, it's like sneaking in extra torque without even cracking open the engine. Here's the trick: your engine's true compression depends on valve timing, not just piston position. Closing the intake valves later reduces effective compression, but by advancing cam timing by just 2 to 4 degrees, you increase that dynamic compression, boosting low-end torque. Retarding it can stretch your power band higher up the rev range. Why is this controversial? Because riders trust manufacturers way too much. Factory timing is tuned for emissions, fuel economy, and making sure no one accidentally wheelies into a lawsuit. It's not about performance. With proper cam timing adjustments, you can see 5 to 10% torque gains and throttle response sharp enough to make your old setup feel like it was powered by hamsters. It's fully reversible, emissions legal, and costs around $300 to $600. Think this is wild? Wait until you see the mod that literally rewires your body positioning. At number 8, Steg Pegs auxiliary leg supports. If you want to start a bar fight at a biker meetup, just mention Steg Pegs. Nothing splits riders faster, because these little bolt-ons challenge everything people think they know about real riding technique. Here's the deal: Steg Pegs are frame-mounted supports that let you grip the bike with your legs, taking pressure off your arms. Less arm pump, more control, especially for tall riders who feel like they're riding a tricycle designed for toddlers. But oh boy, here comes the drama. Traditionalists call them crutches for bad riders. Some say they ruin body positioning and make you dependent, as if you'll forget how to ride the second you remove them. Meanwhile, top desert racers and enduro maniacs quietly bolt them on and ride circles around the critics. The numbers don't lie. Riders report massively reduced arm fatigue and way more control on rough terrain. They cost around $200 to $400 and are fully reversible. If you're over 6 feet tall, they're basically life-changing. Sure, they might not make you look like a hardcore rider, but neither does crashing because your arms gave out halfway through a trail. Still think that's controversial? Wait till you see the braking upgrade that makes your wallet cry. At number 7, Monolock Brake caliper upgrades. Most riders throw cash at fancy brake pads and rotors, hoping for better stopping power. Meanwhile, the real problem is right under their noses: caliper flex. Traditional brake calipers are basically metal sandwiches, multiple pieces bolted together, flexing under pressure like soggy cardboard. That's why your brake feel goes mushy during hard stops. Enter monoblock calipers, solid chunks of precisely machined aluminum that eliminate flex entirely. No bolts, no weak points, just pure stiffness. The result? Brake feel that's sharper than your mother-in-law's insults, and consistent performance, even during long, brutal braking sessions. Tests show up to 20% better brake consistency and reduced lever travel under serious stress. Track riders who've suffered brake fade know exactly how priceless that is. So, why isn't everyone using these? Simple. The price tag. Quality monoblock calipers cost between $1,500 and $3,000 versus a few $100 for normal performance calipers. Most riders wrongly think better pads and rotors do the same job. They don't. Yes, it's expensive. Yes, it's overkill for casual street riders. But for serious speed junkies, totally worth it. Oh, and you think that's pricey? The next mod costs even more, and it literally messes with the air around your bike. At number 6, Vortex Generators and Aerodynamic Flow Redirectors. These tiny plastic-looking doodads might seem like overpriced stickers from a cosplay convention, but done right, Vortex Generators are aerodynamic weapons. Here's how they work. They create tiny controlled air swirls that keep airflow glued to your bike's bodywork, reducing drag and improving high-speed stability. But there's a catch. Placement has to be insanely precise. We're talking millimeter-level precision, based on computational fluid dynamics or actual wind tunnel testing. Spoiler, that 1999's eBay winglet set isn't doing you any favors. Most riders just slap on random aerodynamic bits that do nothing. Or worse, make drag even worse. Correctly installed, however, these systems can cut drag by 5 to 15% and massively improve stability above 80 mph. Some sport touring riders even report smoother highway rides and better fuel economy. Why isn't this common? Simple. Proper testing costs between $2,000 and $5,000. It's reserved for hardcore track bikes or aerodynamic nerds who think wind tunnel is a personality trait. Still, when done right, the results are real and impressive. Just don't expect to get there by gluing fins onto your fairing after 3 beers. If you're enjoying these insane upgrades so far, smash that like button and subscribe, because the next mod dives even deeper into the wild side of motorcycle physics. At number 5, rotating mass optimization through precision weight reduction. Most riders think weight reduction means skipping lunch or removing the passenger seat. Cute. But here's the real secret. Rotating mass, the hidden performance killer nobody talks about. Here's why it matters. Every rotating part on your bike, wheels, rotors, sprockets, doesn't just weigh something. It also fights acceleration because of rotational inertia. In simple terms, spinning things resist change. 1 kilogram of rotating mass is equivalent to dropping 7 to 10 kilograms of static weight in terms of acceleration. Yes, really. This effect is strongest in smaller, fast-spinning components, like wheels and brake rotors. Professional testing shows cutting just 1 kilogram of rotating mass can shave 0.1 to 0.3 seconds off quarter-mile times. Plus, it sharpens handling and improves suspension response by reducing unsprung weight. Why doesn't everyone do this? First, physics makes most people's brains melt. Second, quality lightweight parts are expensive. Think $2,000 to $4,000 for proper lightweight wheels. Worse, cheap lightweight parts often explode like fireworks on impact, which, surprise, is bad for your health. Done right, this mod delivers immediate seat-of-the-pants improvement. Your bike will feel quicker, sharper, and more responsive in every direction. And if you thought physics was wild, wait till you see what a tiny fuel upgrade can do to your combustion efficiency. At number 4, MultiHole fuel injector upgrades. Most riders obsess over fuel pressure and flow rates, but completely ignore one of the biggest hidden upgrades: fuel injector spray patterns. Yes, we're about to get nerdy. Standard injectors are like those cheap garden hoses with a single sad stream, spraying big fuel droplets that burn poorly. MultiHole injectors? They atomize fuel into a fine mist using 4 to 12 tiny holes, creating better mixing with air, which means more complete combustion. In simpler terms, better bang, better power, better fuel efficiency, basically free horsepower. Here's why almost nobody talks about it. Tuning injectors requires understanding fuel spray geometry, combustion chamber design, and matching everything precisely to your engine's needs. Most riders just crank up fuel pressure and hope for the best. Done correctly, these injectors deliver 3 to 7% gains in both power and fuel economy, and work even better alongside mods like cam timing and compression tweaks. Costs range from $400 to $800 for professional installation, but the catch? The improvement isn't flashy, it's subtle. No roaring exhaust or turbo noises, just smoother, stronger performance across the board. Many riders scoff at this mod, thinking tiny holes can't make a difference. Spoiler, they're wrong. But while this mod boosts efficiency, the next one is all about survival. It could mean the difference between stopping safely and not stopping at all. At number 3, brake fluid vapor point optimization. Most riders will happily drop hundreds on fancy brake pads and rotors, and then cheap out on the one thing that could literally save their life: brake fluid. Here's the brutal truth. Standard DOT3 and DOT4 fluids have pretty low boiling points, especially after absorbing moisture over time, which they do constantly. Under hard braking, like on long descents or during track days, your brake fluid can boil. This creates vapor bubbles that compress instead of transmitting pressure, which leads to that heart-dropping moment known as brake fade, or worse, total brake failure. Enter DOT 5.1 brake fluid. It stays stable at way higher temps, meaning consistent, fade-free braking even during the gnarliest conditions. No drama, no surprises, just solid stopping power when you need it most. Why don't more riders upgrade? Because many still believe brake fluid is brake fluid, or they wrongly assume that fancy rotors and pads solve everything. Spoiler, they don't. Here's the kicker. This mod costs $20 to $40. Yep, about the same as a tank of gas. It just needs proper bleeding, and even DIYers can handle it. For pocket change, you get race-level braking that could literally save your life. Ready to throw everything you know about suspension straight into the trash? Buckle up! This next mod changes the rules entirely. At number 2, progressive spring rate modifications. Linear springs get a lot of love from old-school purists, but here's the harsh truth. They're relics of a bygone era. Progressive springs simply outperform them in the real world. Because, let's face it, most riders aren't dragging knees on racetracks every weekend. These clever springs use variable coil spacing or wire thickness, meaning they start soft for plush comfort over small bumps, but stiffen up as they compress, preventing harsh bottom outs on big hits. It's like having 2 suspension systems in one. Why the hate? Blame racing culture. Racers worship linear springs for their predictable feel, but progressive springs deliver superior results for street riders, adventurers, and anyone who hauls a passenger or luggage. The best part? They automatically adjust to changing loads and terrain. No constant tweaking required. Real-world comfort, real control, all the time. Expect to pay around $300 to $600 for installation, along with some math wizardry to dial in spring rates and suspension geometry. The upgrade is fully reversible, and it pairs perfectly with custom damping tweaks. Progressive springs plus custom valving? It's like upgrading from VHS to 4K. There's just no going back. And now, brace yourself. Our final modification isn't mechanical. It's pure, unapologetic electronic sorcery, and it'll blow your mind. At number 1, electronic alternator control and load management. Imagine gaining horsepower by hacking your alternator. Sounds ridiculous, but this rare electrical mod does exactly that. Here's the secret. Alternators create parasitic drag, stealing horsepower every time you accelerate. But modern systems can regulate alternator output using pulse width modulation signals, cutting drag during hard acceleration and boosting it during cruising or braking to keep your battery topped up. In plain English, you lose less power when you need it most, and regain it when you don't. Done right, this mod unlocks 2 to 5 horsepower under throttle-heavy conditions. It's like finding hidden horsepower hiding inside your electrical system. Why isn't this everywhere? Because it's complex, requires deep electrical know-how, and costs around $600 to $2,200 for professional installation. But for serious riders chasing every ounce of performance, it's a game changer. And that wraps up our list. 10 controversial mods that prove real performance isn't about flashy bolt-ons, but smart engineering. Before you go, which of these mods shocked you the most? Drop your answer in the comments. I'm curious what surprised you. And hey, if you love hidden performance hacks like these, subscribe now. There's plenty more coming that'll push your bike and your mind even further.